This is Color Scheme Designer. ColorSchemeDesigner.com is the URL. This is a wonderful free color picking tool for web designers, and I wanted to give you an overview of this tool, show you what it can do. I think you'll really like it. It's important to be very careful and precise about how we choose our colors, whether you're designing a website or even a PowerPoint or keynote presentation. We don't want to do guesswork when it comes to determining which colors will work and which ones won't. So I'll show you Color Scheme Designer. Let's get started. When you come to ColorSchemeDesigner.com, the first thing you see over here on the left is this beautiful color wheel. Now, if I take my cursor and I drag it around the color wheel, you will see in the box on the right, the colors changing, of course. I'm over here in red now, moving over to yellow, green, and blue. So let's just say I wanted a blue web page. I wanted blue to be the dominant color of my web page or presentation. So I come here and I click and I drag it until this box on the right shows about the shades that I'm interested in, just about the right hue. Now you'll notice that under the bottom of the color wheel, the default tab, which it will already be set on, is the hues. Now if I want to adjust the hues, I'm going to go over here to the next one. It says Adjust Scheme. I'm going to click on it, and you'll see these two boxes on the left. One controls the saturation and the brightness of the colors. One controls the scheme contrast. Now look what happens when I drag. I use my cursor to drag this mouse point along the saturation line. You can see that the colors are becoming less saturated and more saturated again. As we go down the brightness line, they're losing their brightness, they're becoming darker. So you can play with this until you find just the right shade. Over here on the right, this is a scheme contrast, and here you can drag it around, playing with the shadows and the lights until you get just the amount of contrast that you want. You can get very little contrast, or you can have a lot of contrast. Contrast is very important for individuals who have normal vision and also people who may have some type of color blindness, because if the font color, for instance, and the background color did not have enough contrast, then that person would have a hard time reading your website. So for that reason, we always want to make sure that you have adequate contrast. I'll come back to that again shortly. Right now, let's come up top, and you see these dials along the top. We're going to start on the left. We're in monochromatic already. Monochromatic, of course, meaning one color scheme. They're all blue, basically. If we go over to complementary, click this, and look, a complementary color pops up. It's a nice bright orange yellow, and you can be confident that that color is going to work with the blue that you've chosen. Continue going over triad, tetrad. You can see some really unique color combinations that you probably would not have been able to come up with on your own. Analogic and accented analogic. Now when you move your cursor over these blocks of color, over here on the right, you're going to see the hex codes pop up on each color block. If you don't know what hex codes are, it's very simple. They're simply hexadecimal codes, basically alphanumeric names for colors. And so you can take note of which ones you like, and then you can go back to your website or your PowerPoint presentation. You can enter the hexadecimal code and get the precise color combination that you'd like. One more feature I'll show you. Go up to where it says colorblind on the top menu. Okay, we're looking at normal vision now, which is the default. But what happens if we go down to one of the subtypes of color blindness, which affects up to 5% of men and 0.4% of women? Let's click that, and do you see that the colors change? They look different. So I think it's a good idea to always take this into consideration. The main thing, as I understand it, with designing for people who might have vision disorders, is you want to make sure there's adequate contrast, as we discussed a bit earlier. It's really important that they be able to distinguish one area of the website from another. So this is just a quick overview of Color Scheme Designer. I hope you will try it. I have found it to be a very useful tool, and I've used it many times. Okay, thanks for listening. Go create something amazing today.